Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about the idea that you are not starting over. Even if you took a break, even if you stopped for a little while, even if you took a little hiatus and now you're coming back to something, you still have all of the skills that you have somewhere within your subconscious. The reason why I'm talking about this today is because one of my students is struggling with this injury that has been going on for about a year and a half, and it's a lot. And I feel for her because I've had my own experiences with injuries, and I know what it's like to be someplace and to get interrupted and then to go back to what you're doing after you're well and you're better and to just feel like you're not there. And that is a very defeating feeling to feel. And I'm wondering if you've ever felt that before, where you were working really hard on something and then all of a sudden something gets interrupted and you go back to the thing that you were doing and loving, and it just feels like you're behind. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I think about myself in terms of like I had this gigantic knee thing for 13 years of my life. So I think about like where would I be if that didn't come into my life? Like what would I be doing and what would my dance abilities be like if I was getting a chance to work on skills that I would love to work on for all those years? And it can be kind of like sad when you think about it. Like, okay, well, we know there would be something different. And then we also know there would be something different. So, for example, if something is different, then something is different. If I didn't go through what I went through, would I have the understanding of what it's like to bounce back from smaller injuries? I don't know. This reminds me of the episode where we were talking about inception and like quantum reality and like philosophy, that when something is realized, it's realized. So when this became my outcome, this is my outcome. Any other of the possible realities weren't the realities. Or in terms of the quantum area, like these realities are happening, but in a different reality. Anyway, we won't go there because that can get like, we'll need to have you here in person to have this conversation because it's more fun that way. So if all of this stuff didn't happen, what would have happened? We don't know. The only thing we get to do is continue and move forward. And the only way forward is through. So with my student, she's getting back on the dance floor. She's working it. She's killing it. I'm observing her and I'm like, well, this isn't lined up. She just told me she feels behind and she feels like all the progress that she was making isn't there. And she came to my class on Friday and I'm watching her and I'm like, dude, she was going off. And something about it is funny to me because my reality that I'm having watching and observing her as her teacher is like, wow, like killing it, remembering things, like being exact about technique and alignment. And her experience is probably a lot of things because when I think about my experience when I was coming back off of a couple of injuries and surgeries, I'm thinking, oh no, don't hurt yourself more. I'm thinking, ooh, ouch, that hurts. Though my smile and my outward face is saying like, here I am dancing. And my inside face is like, ooh, ow, oh, ouch, that hurts. Or, oh. So, and my body is tensing up in different ways that I can feel. However, it's so minute that people watching are seeing like, whoa, she's recovering from surgery that fast. And here I am being her teacher being like, wow, like there she goes. I can think of like another time where this was relevant where I was attending the gym like very frequently and then I had my surgery and then I just like didn't attend the gym in the same way that I attended. Like the weight routines I was doing were just very different. The load I was lifting was very different. And I remember this one time where I feel like my body was able to like come back to it. And I was really sad. In fact, I did a live that day on You're Not Behind. And that's kind of what this is, except this is more of an elaboration on that idea. And then I caught myself, and I do this a lot, like looking back at videos from past years, and I found this video of myself doing pistol squats, which is something I do on the beach, like this summer at least, or I've just been intrigued by this move because it's kind of complicated in terms of balance and alignment and knee flexion, which has been tough for me. And I saw this video of myself doing this move, and I did it on both legs. in my reality, in my memory was saying, you've only been able to do that on your good leg. And I was stunned. I looked at the date. I was like, let me just be right here. Like, what date was this? And let me remember. So I think what I could say from this is we know that there's like a ton of trauma with these two knees, right? We know that there's been 4 surgeries. We know there's a lot of stuff that's gone on. We also know that when you're feeling something, you're feeling it versus when you're viewing it, you're viewing it. When I was viewing myself from 2018 doing these 2 pistol squats, one on my left knee, one on my right knee, I was like, wait, roll it back. Hold on. Did I just do it on both legs? Very confused because I don't remember it, being able to do it. My pain taught me that I couldn't do things on my other leg, much like her pain could be teaching her, much like your pain teaches you, much like, well, shall I even mention it? I think we shall. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about how your pain is contributing to the way that you're currently living. And this, it's interesting that I brought up philosophy earlier and the quantum world, because this all feeds into that in the weirdest of ways. My memory was, you can't bend your knee. And I remember not being able to. The video says otherwise. It says I could bend it pretty okay. What I didn't get to observe, though, was how much pain I was feeling in that moment. And even right now, like I'm talking to you, like I'm going to move my leg because it hurts so much to sit like that. And I know when I watch myself back, I'm not going to even think about the pain. So when you're observing someone else, like in this situation, I'm observing my student, I'm not feeling or knowing about what her pain is like while she's performing. And the way in which she was performing was maybe even she went at it harder because she knew what she wasn't able to do. She knows what she was holding herself back from doing for so long. And certain things got expressed perhaps fuller. So think about it like this. We have a routine. We have moves. Let's just say every 6, 8 counts, there's a move that's tricky for your body. Let's just say that. And what I see is her doing the moves that were the choreography, and modifying the moves that are unable for her body to do right now. And I see the attack of the move being so hardcore, being so full, being so exact that it was like, okay, it's kind of like the idea of, all right, well, if I'm not going to be able to do this, then I am going to do this to the fullest. And this reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of Friends, when Phoebe and Rachel are planning a party. And this is the episode, the one where Rachel smokes. And it's when Monica and Phoebe are planning a surprise party for Rachel. And basically Monica, if you know the show, you know that Monica's personality is type A, like needs control of everything. So Monica takes control of everything. Phoebe comes in and she's like, oh, well, what am I in charge of? And Monica kind of like looks around and she's like, you can do like cups and ice. So Phoebe's like, I will do cups and ice. And then Phoebe, like, she orchestrates all this stuff, like with cups. Like she makes cup hats, cup banners, cup chandeliers. And then with like the ice, she has like dry ice and she has snow cones and she has like all these things. And she went all out on cups and ice. And it kind of like upstaged Monica. And then Monica, of course, is like, oh, like feeling some type of way because Phoebe went so hardcore. So in this instance, we get to go hardcore with what we can do. So that's why when we have these interruptions, it's important to resume our activities back as if we are continuing them versus starting over. The starting over mentality is going to tell you that you've lost everything that you built. It's going to play on your identity and trick you into thinking that you're nowhere near where you used to be. The mentality is heavy. It's discouraging. It actually leaks into our little perfectionistic world as well. The focus becomes everything that you lost, everything that you're not. The emotions are guilt and why me and frustration and maybe even embarrassment a little bit because you could be coming to the studio like wanting to do what you normally do and know that maybe not everyone's filled in on your story and then all of a sudden you're not able to do it. And then it's like, oh, wait, I know I can do better. I know in here, in my head, I can do better. But my body's preventing me from doing that. The language that you're speaking is, I'm behind. I need to catch up. I've wasted time. And the impact of all this makes you hesitant to start again. It makes you think that you'll just fail or you'll quit or the same thing will happen over again. In contrast, the continuation mentality is very different. The continuation mentality is, I already have experience. I'm further than I think. The energy is light. It's empowering. It's curious. It's like, ooh, how can I go about this so that my body can do it? The focus is, what have I gained from this little break? Ooh, do I have more energy? Do I have more moments of where I can pull back so I can prevent further injury? The emotion is relief, confidence, and self-trust. The language is, I'm picking up where I left off. I get to apply what I've already learned. Nothing is wasted. And the impact frees you from shame. It makes it easier for you to engage because you know you have a foundation. Even if someone hasn't been able to attend class in like 2 weeks, people will say, like, I feel like I'm starting over. I feel behind. That starting over mentality is like, I'm back at square one, or even I'm back at square zero. And the continuation mentality says, my body already knows part of this. That trust that you have in your body when you're like, okay, like it knows what it's doing. It'll figure it out. My brain will figure it out. And if you're behind and you're going slower, so what? What does that mean? It's you that's making that comparison. It's also that same idea we were just talking about, consistency and intensity. It's, it's no wonder you weren't as consistent. It wasn't your fault, but you weren't consistent. Whether you were interrupted in some way, you weren't able to show up. Sometimes it's things we're in control of and sometimes it's not. And the point is, you're continuing. The foundations are still there. And there is something still gained. And we might not know what that is. And it could be like what was gained was you got to heal your body. What was gained was you get to prevent a different injury. What was gained was you got to spend more time with your spouse. What was gained was you moved. You had a beautiful move into a new home. And it's now where we remember that breaks are not setbacks. They're part of the process. A pause can sometimes build depth. It can build resilience. It can build creativity. I think I mentioned this not too long ago. When Josh and I go on vacation and we take a little rest, I come back with so much excitement to teach and so much creativity. And there's like things that are new. Like I might have a new song that I was exposed to, or may have gotten like a new outfit or even a new tan, and just coming with the approach of something has been gained versus everything was lost is going to be the biggest game changer for you. And then you can also think about it in terms of layers. So, I love the cake, the layers of the cake as the idea of memory and style and performance and our way of learning. You can also think about the cake in terms of layers of how you are. So your first layer of the cake is, that's my foundation layer. And when you come back, you still have your foundation layer because you know it. It's there in your mind. You probably still have it in your body too. So it could be that like each piece of a layer, you want to be fuller when you come back. So you want your memory layer, like, oh, I get to practice this muscle of working my memory again. Or, oh, that's what I was working on before. I was working on my style. I was working on my facials. I remember now. Or maybe you're also reminded of, okay, I know that performance is such an important part of dance. My body still feels a little bit right now. So I'm going to really work on my face. So what becomes gained with this idea is you get to work on a skill that you weren't even bothering to think about before. And that's the mindset of abundance through dance. So you're coming back, okay, you're not starting over. You're starting with your foundation. Okay, you're not starting over because you already know what you want to work on. When you're first starting, you don't even know what you want to work on. So today, I invite you to think about, where do you feel like you're starting over? And where can you pivot that thought into thinking, how am I continuing? Think about how much lighter it feels when you think about a continuation versus a brand new start. I think about that often, actually, because sometimes when I'm filming these podcasts with Josh, I'll get into the middle of it and I'll be like, oh my God, I just want to start over. And that feels very heavy to start over because it almost negates everything that was good about what I said. And I know there's good stuff sometimes in here, and I'll still think like, oh, Chrissy, just start over. It'll be better that way. And then I think I'm going to go and do that. And then I'm like, no, starting over doesn't make it better. Starting over makes it feel like it could be better because it's a fresh start. And then there's so much lost. That was so great. So instead, what I do is I think, no, just continue. The show must go on. Continue talking. Pick up where you left off. Let's figure it out. And I would say 10 times out of 10, it's fine. I'm overthinking something. I'm getting hyper fixated on my choice of words, or I'm getting hyper fixated on a sentence, or the fact that I forgot to say a sentence in between. That's my perfectionism coming out. It could be that your perfectionism is coming out when you're thinking about, oh, I have to start over, because we don't like things to be messy. And one of the biggest things I learned when starting a business 14 years ago was messy action, and to just allow yourself to be messy. Get it done. B+. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look a certain way either. It definitely doesn't have to feel a certain way. So I hope that you can take this with you, not just next week, not just next month, but for the rest of your life, knowing that when you have something that you're working through, you get to pause what you're working on. And what you're working on is so important. It's so important to you. And when you resume, you're continuing. You're picking up where you left off. And you get to free yourself from all of that defeat, all of that discouraging energy, all of that frustration, and have an easier time re-engaging with where you left off, knowing that something was gained and you're further than you think you are. So if this was helpful for you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you left a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.